So our next topic, I'm sure you guys have seen all over social media, the news, everywhere. Thousands of people have rallied out at demonstrations nationwide to oppose immigration and custom enforcement raids. Hundreds of people have been arrested or detained in several cities, including Seattle, New York City, Chicago, and the rallies are expected to continue. This is like, we're gonna focus a little bit on Los Angeles just because this is where legal action and troops have been sent to, et cetera, et cetera. But these rallies are happening all across the United States. So President Donald Trump and his defense secretary Pete Hegseth authorized the deployment of about 700 Marines and more than 2,000 National Guard troops to Los Angeles, Texas. To Los Angeles and Texas. Governor Greg Abbott said today, Friday, he has deployed more than 5,000 National Guards troops to quell protests in the state. So a lot of these protests are happening because of ICE raids, right? Like, they're going into places that they shouldn't be going to in order to like illegally kind of like, I don't even know what the right word is, but it's like they're forcing the issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, remember in other episodes where I'm like, well, President Trump keeps saying that he just wants to get rid of criminals. But if you are showing up to someone while they're on their way to, their appointment to get their green card, that is contradicting what you're saying. Because if you're saying that you're trying to just, round up criminals, but here's someone that's working to get their green card and you're intentionally waiting for them outside to deport them, like that, like the math is not mathing. So I think that's why a lot of people are protesting, because it's like illegal ICE raids. And then on top of that, you're sending troops to, kind of like dispel the people or like calm them so they don't go out and they don't protest. But it's like you're adding fuel to the fire. And this kind of reminds me a little bit of like, when in 2020, when the Black Lives Matter marches were happening, all you saw in the news is like looting. Well, look, they're breaking down businesses and they're doing this and they're doing that. And I think sometimes we lose sight of how things started. And then we just focus on like, well, why are they breaking down cars? Why are they breaking down small businesses? And it's like, how did we get here? And I think we're losing sight of what is happening. And I've said this thousands of times. Immigration is not something that like should, like, people are demonizing it. Like, oh, well, you should just come here the right way. That's something that I hear a lot. Well, I came here the right way, so why can't they? And I think sometimes people forget that that's a privilege, right? Like, maybe you came here the right way because you had the privilege of having a family member, a wife, an uncle, somebody that could sponsor you for you to come here the right way.
My whole thing, sorry, to your point about the right way, is that like historically, even these people who are saying that, their ancestors who have come from all the European countries who have come here didn't even come here the right way. Half of them did not come here the right way until people started saying, oh, like, let's make this the way that's the right way. And people still weren't doing that. So it's like you're demonizing people from specific countries that you look at less than the ones who come from this other side of the country, I mean, the world, who come here and you're like, oh, it's okay though, because we approve of these type of people. Like, that is the problem that I'm having with this whole problem with like immigration and everything like that. It's like, if you're going to sit here and apply these standards, these rules, and these everything to the whole topic of immigration, let me see that happen for the people who came here from Italy. Let me see this happen for the people who came from anywhere in those type of directions. You're focused on all African and Asian American, I said Asian American, African and Asian countries. Like, that is what it is giving. It's like, what?
Yeah, and I just think, again, immigrating to a country, I just feel like that's not something that is a crime. Like when Native Americans were here and who Christopher Columbus or whoever came here and was like, well, I'm taking your land and I'm displacing you, and now is I'm here, and yeah, took people from other countries, brought them here to be slaves. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just giving, I don't get it. And I don't like a lot of people that are like, well, if people are breaking the rules and they extended their visas and they're doing XYZ, then they deserve to be deported. I'm just like, okay, if that is your thinking, just know that Shayla disagrees with that. But if you are standing 10 toes down with that belief, okay. But just know when it comes time to anything that I don't know. I just think that's very selfish thinking that, well, if it doesn't affect me, I'm good. And a lot of times people feel like, well, I don't want to speak up because I don't know about it. I don't know too much about politics, but I just feel like no one deserves to be treated that way, and especially in this administration, because I'm not going to lie, Trump is not the only one that has deported people. There's been several administrations where deportation numbers have actually been higher. But I just feel like it's just the way that this administration is dehumanizing people and they're trying to make it seem like it's a joke. That is what is triggering to me, because they're making fun of it. They are, like it's like they're not humans. And I just feel like, how would you feel if that was your family member and that is how they're being treated? Because there's also a way to go about it. If you're deporting people, okay, but like the way that they're doing it is just very much triggering. You stopping people while they're on their way to practice, a student that's not doing anything, that's not bothering anyone. And again, this whole notion that they're just targeting criminals is a lie. It's a lie. They're not just targeting criminals. They're not.
Yeah. Yeah, girl, first off, I agree with you. Like, we have seen throughout history how different, like you mentioned, different administrations have done this whole deportation and stuff like that. And like immigration is always like a hot button issue for everybody. But sometimes I need people to sit there and tell me, like, what is the root of it for you? If it's the fact that people are coming here from other countries or whatever like that, and when they get here, they're doing criminal activities, okay, sure, we'll take that. But it's like, if you're so worried about them coming here to be criminals, I need you to have the same energy for the people who are from here, who are born Americans and are criminals too. I feel like y'all pick and choose when y'all want to gauge that, because let's say, if a prime example, if somebody came here from whatever country, you fill in the blank of whatever country you want it to be. If they came here from another country and decided to do exactly the same actions that Luigi did, would you have that same support for them? Like, I need people to let me know, like, where is it that you gauge it? Because it doesn't make sense to me. And Shayla, my question for you, right? So I've been seeing this topic, like, people are talking about the increase of different rallies and protests happening everywhere. And people are now having this conversation of like, let the white people be the ones to protest. Like, minorities, Black people should not be the ones getting involved. Like, this is their fight. So it's like, what is your thought process to
that? I don't believe in that, but that's just me and how I move and how I operate. It may not affect you right now, but then when it does become you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm very much a community driven type of person. And so I'm not going to lie and be like, people get tired, right? Because this is a constant issue. It feels like a revolving door. We're always talking about the same issues, the same things. But like, how can you expect people to show up for you if you never show up for them? That's just how I feel about the situation. Like, okay, you may not be Latino, right? Or like, you might feel like, well, I was born here, so immigration has nothing to do with me. Until it does. Like, I don't know. I don't believe with that. I don't believe in that. But if you feel that way, then hey, I know that there are consequences, especially, when you are a person of color, you're not held to the same standard, and maybe like you're more likely to get arrested than a white person that's out there protesting. But So what? I'm not gonna fight because of those consequences? Like, I don't know. I don't agree with that sentiment.
So before I answer that question, I'm going to show you guys this video of like a reporter basically who was reporting on the whole LA protests that were happening. And like, yeah, let me just show you.
Moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA. You just shut the fuck up. You okay? I'm good.
So when I saw that, like in the video, you clearly see the officer, or maybe it was, I don't know which part department, national, whatever he was from, but like he literally turned, aimed, and shot at her. So it's like, to me, I'm like, you did that on purpose. That was your intent. And I'm like, we have, like, to the point of the conversation that we're having where people are like, this is like a white person's fight, right? Like they should be the ones speaking up, doing this and everything like that. I'm like, if that man turned that even though it was rubber bullets, even though he turned that gun, shot it at that lady's calf, I'm like, if he's willing to do that to a white woman, I can't even imagine what he would do if it was a person of color. So like, to me, to your point, I think it all depends on the person. Well, to the question I asked, I think it all depends on the person. I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, you need to stand up, you need to fight, you need to do this. And I'm not going to be the type of person who's like, you can stay silent. You can stay silent. I'm not going to be that type of person. I'm going to say, pick your battles. And when you pick your battles, understand, like Shayla mentioned, the consequences that come with it, what might happen. And also, what do you think, like when you stand up for something, especially depending on what you stand up for, what do you think that's going to speak to to your character, to your morals, to what you choose to be supportive about? Like, think about these things instead of sitting there and be like, well, this is a black issue, this is a white issue. Like, immigration is an all around issue, but I feel like the current administration, the current administration is making it seem like, no, it's only these type of people that we need to have a problem with, not these type of people. Like, immigration is an all around issue. There's people who come from different countries who fit different diasporas from everywhere. So it's not just, Latinos or black or Asian. Like, it's an all around issue.
Yeah. And I just want to point out that protesting may look different for everybody, right? Like, protesting doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to just be out there and be screaming with a bullhorn and boom, boom, boom. That's not everybody's personality. And that's 1,000% understandable. But simply, like, if you're in a room with people and you hear some out of pocket stuff, your form of protesting could be just checking that person right there and then. You know what I mean? It could be resharing resources. It could be just posting a little Insta story. Like, I'm not here clocking and making, enforcing that everybody should be outside with a sign. That may not be your personality. You may not be able to do that because of what your job is. But I just feel like just sitting there and not saying anything is a problem. And another thing is, I'm very much against just simply social media type of like
Activism,
a facade type of thing, because there's also those people that just post something to just, be in the loop and make sure they're good with their friends, but behind the scenes is a whole different story. And internally, they know that they don't actually believe the things that they're posting it, and they're only doing it to be a part of whatever it is that it may be. So protesting looks different for everybody. I just think that, especially in the times that we're living in now, a lot of times people that are just of affluent communities, they have the luxury to be tapped in, and they know when, a primary election is happening. They know where the places are, who the people are that they got to vote for in order for them to stay at the top. And so minorities don't have that luxury, right? Like, a lot of people are working 9 to 5, paycheck to paycheck. They do not have time to be clocking in or know an election is even happening. And so that's why these people stay at the top and minorities are at the bottom. So we have to make sure that, I know it's not easy. It is a privilege to be locked in and be informed with all of these things, but if we do want the betterment for our community, we need to inform ourselves, because that's why we continue to, go back instead of forward.
Yeah. And I just want to make this last point, because I know a lot of times people hear the word privilege and they automatically have like a negative connotation to it. But it's just like, privilege isn't like, the word privilege isn't something where you look at it and it's something negative. The reason why people look at it as a negative is because people refuse to acknowledge that you are privileged. There's certain things that me growing up in a white town that I've been privileged to have before other schools, other people who live in different communities. But it would be ignorant of me to sit there and be like, oh, but no, like anybody can have the resource. No, sometimes you got to acknowledge the privilege. But even though you acknowledge it, you got to understand the communities, the people who don't have those resources, and speak up about that. Like, I was able to have that, but I know people who weren't. And that's unfair. And I feel like a lot of times people use that privilege, that like the idea of like, I've lived such a good life, to not look at things from the other side. And when you look at things from the other side, speak about it, So I think definitely, like Shayla said, protesting looks different for everybody, whether that's, I don't support this company because they're helping fund the guards being sent to LA or something like that. Like, everything looks different for everybody. But if you are just doing it to be like, oh, I want to just be like a part of the crowd, like, you are not protesting. You are just doing it to be, because it's popularized. Like, so recognize and understand where you want to go with things, and understand that like, this is just the beginning. Honestly, we're only 6 months in. We still got 3 years and 6 months left. Like, y'all, this isn't over.